Welcome to the Fantasy Football Clown Show. I'm your host, Ed, along with Justin and Brad. Week 13 in review. If I could get you guys to hit the subscribe button, the like button, and that notification bell so that every time we release these videos, you get notified. And if you have any comments, any questions, feel free to put them in the on the message board, and we'll try to answer them as well. First and foremost, just want to break down the Clown Head tournament that we had. We had 9 people in it, and of course, like normal, I finished near the bottom in 8th place with a great score of 102.48. And I see Justin smiling because he came in 3rd, and I say to myself, geez, this guy just wins money every week. So just Clown Head community, he takes your money every week. Just know that. So at some point, you guys may want his money, and you'll want to come in and jump in and take that. But he seems to finish 3rd every week. So he just says, hey, I want my money back plus a little bit because I want to keep you guys playing. So he just does that. So Rogers, that 414 with a 164.16 won this week. So 164.16. So if you had 200 on your score, you would have been the Clown Head tournament money champion this week. So just know that for next week when we jump in. And we're using the Clown Head number 9 tournament link. So if you see that in your notification, make sure you click on that and go after that. His team was Trevor Lawrence with a 16.36, and so he's glad that he didn't get injured halfway through the game and lose him. And Pacheco with 16.20, Monty 16.7, Lockett 30.8, A.J. Brown 34.9, Garrett Wilson 27.20, Hayden Hurst, who got hurt, at 3.2, Keenan Allen 20.8, and the Jags defense, he got minus 2 points. So he actually had negative on the defense and still was able to pull out the win here in the Clown Head tournament. GJL Reed with a 157.76 took the 2nd place money, and as I said, JDM Clown, which is Justin, 152.74, is taking your money again this week. So just know he's taking your money this week, and right out there. We're excited because this was our second to last week of the Elite 8 tournament, or the regular season, and we're gearing up for the tournament. And we have all those tournament details coming up later in the show with where the seating is today. But next week on the show, we'll pop out that bracket that'll be all set for the first round of the playoffs and the run to really go after that $3,000. So 110 investment, and you can net out $3,000 this year. So if you're the champion of the 96 teams. So that's the minimum amount that you'll take away is going to be $3,000. So somebody in the Elite 8 is going to have 3 extra K. So we'll talk a little bit about some of the possibilities here as well. Division A, our top scorer this week, Wolfpack, 271.49, a 10-3 record overall, number 2 in that division. Division B, Seaballs, 585, 231.97, 8-5 overall, number 4 in that league. Division C, Miller Time, 8049, 260.62, 9-4 record, number 2 overall. Division D, Killer Sam, 775, 262.19, 6-7 overall record, the number 7 seed. So really trying to make a move there. Jumping ahead from Division E to Division F, Turkleton, 2420, 256.83, an 11-2 record, number 1 overall in that division. Division G, Miley, R0568, 274.16 with a 9-4 record, number 2 overall in that division. And Division H, M. Ralston, 1013, 242.17, an 11-2 record overall, number 1 in that division. And then our top scorer, just a tick higher, so not at 300, is Division E, Russ D30, 276.64, 9-4 record, number 4 overall. And just bringing Brad in to kind of break down that team and the number 4 record. I mean, do you feel like Russ D has a chance to get to the dance?
I'm not sure if he'll get to the top 2 with with his team, but I think he had a pretty good week. Jalen Hurts had a good game for him, so that definitely helped. Rashad White and Ramondre kind of had solid games, so he did all right with his running backs, and his receivers were pretty bad except for Devontae. Devontae had put a 45 on him, and then he took a 0 with Randall Cobb and a 6 with Claypool. And then he also took an 8 with Chris Moore in his flex. So I mean he's got guys like Cup and Go Dirt in his IR, so maybe later he'll be able to make a little something, but not much time.
Yeah. Well, and with one game remaining, it's going to be tough. And I just pulled up here where we are, just kind of as we stand right now. It looks like he's 250 points behind the second place team in extreme confidence. So probably too tough of a task. Would need an extreme confidence loss plus a win plus gaining 250 points, in 1 week. So yeah, probably a tall task to get to the top two, but it's good to have a team that's going to be there to be reckoned with. Wanted to just kind of show where the brackets are, as of now, and then kind of get your feedback. I see Brad in Division C, you're still on the list, kind of definitely outside looking in. You're in the 5 spot, trying to get to the top 2. So what do you think? Do you think you have a shot to get there? And it looks to me like you're 500 points behind, so you'd have to gain some major ground here this week.
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to hope for the best week I've ever had.
I debated whether to put you on there, but I'm like, no, that'll make for some interesting conversation. So, the mathematics are you're virtually, eliminated from there, but you could, in theory. I mean, I guess in theory, if you put up a 700-point week, we could get you there. So,
not happening.
we'd say you deserve it if you should do that. So 2,600, but in all seriousness, though, it looks like you're going to be well on your way to being in the playoffs, though, in the smaller playoffs, and at least being in the top 6. Justin, I didn't check you. I saw that you were not part of the B. I'm not part of A either. Are you going to be in the top 6, or are you on the bottom 6 looking for draft picks?
I'm fighting for that number 6. I'm number 7 right now.
Okay.
I need a good win this week. The number 6 guy, I think, plays the top scorer in Group B, C balls this week. So I need a solid win this week, and I'll squeak into that number 6 spot.
Well, I always say that you can double your money just by winning out in the divisional. So that kind of pays for this year and next year. So, just winning that, again, that kind of helps you, get ready for the big one. So, I always try to win that if I can, and then, let the big, kind of championship bracket ride its own. But yeah, it looks like, things, the board this time, as you guys can see here on the screen, is a lot smaller this week than it was last week. So, that's gotten smaller with only 1 week to go, and all those and teams are getting eliminated from those top 2 spots as it's getting down to the wire. I think we had 4 different new entries into the final 16 from last week, though. So some changes, from the 2 to 3 spot in a couple cases. So that was kind of an interesting situation that occurred. So looking at Clown Heads 1 through 5, those top scorers, we have Clown Heads 1, Jim's Instant Karma, 251.82, a 10-3 record, number 2 overall. Clown Heads 2, Mr. Miyagi 13, 235.39, a 7-6 record, number 5 overall. We'll skip over Clown Heads 3 and go to Clown Heads 4, Rock Bottom 12, 255.09, 7-6 record, number 5 overall. Clownheads 5, Top Flight Hooker, 218.17, 9-4 record, number 2 overall. And then, circling back to Clownheads 3, Arcagel 1989, 262.46, 9-4 record, number 3 overall. And bringing Brad back in and looking at Arcagel from the 3 spot, does he have a chance to get a bye, or do you feel like there's, a chance for him to advance?
Yeah, I definitely think so. He's tied with the second place team, and I've been looking over the teams, and his team looks better. Like it all depends on what happens next week, really. If the 2 seed gets a loss and he gets a win, then he's in there.
Okay.
So
really fighting for that extra bye, then he's pretty close to getting that big score helps. I guess that sometimes when you're that top scorer, you can make some real ground. Justin, which Clown Heads 1 through 5s are you in? Which ones are you a part of?
Clownhead 1, 2, 4, and 5.
And how are you doing? Any of those teams on the verge of the playoffs there?
I have one. There's like 3 or 4 of us that are tied between 6 and 10. So it's going to come down to one of my leagues. I can't remember which one it is at this moment, but it's going to take a little finagling in one of them.
Gotcha. And so you think you possibly could get there, and next week hopefully we'll have you in the playoffs in one of them. How about you, Brad? Which Clown Heads are you in? Are you in 4 and 5? Do I remember that right?
Yeah.
How are you doing in 4 and 5? I know you thought you were going to win 4, so I guess.
I was kind of looking at that today. I've got a pretty good shot at getting it. I'm pretty sure I locked up the 2 seed as long as I stay within 100 points of the 3 seed next week.
Are you clinched? Are you clinched in the playoffs there?
Yeah, the 1 and the 2 seed are clinched in that league.
Gotcha. And I'm in all 5 of them, but only Clownheads 5 is where I kind of have my better team, and I'm clinched in the 4 spot right now, but the same record as 2 and 3. So I'm just less points, so I kind of feel like any kind of mess up by those 2 guys this week, and I've got a legitimate shot to move into a bye week there in Clownheads 5, and it's interesting to me because it feels like I drafted a series of 4 leagues that were identical scoring, and in the last one, or the 4th one, I have my best team in the Flock series. And now here I drafted 5 teams, well, 6, I guess, if you count the Elite 8, but the last one that I drafted here was my best team as well. And, it's just, I drafted them all the same way. So I'm saying to myself, what's the difference? It's just kind of interesting to me that my last team drafting in each is my strongest, or my most win now team, I guess you could say. And so I'm anxious next week. I've clinched, so I'm sure, I'll be in the playoffs in Clown Heads 5, but that'll be, the one that I'm in Dynasty. Clown Heads Redraft 1, we have Heifer 808 with a 300.05, 10-3 record, number 1 overall, and are the 1 seed. And then Clown Heads Redraft 2, we have me with a 291.45, a 9-4 record, number 1 overall. So an interesting observation there that the 2 redraft top scorers were the 2 1 seeds. And so kind of I'm the 1 seed in Clown Heads 2. So second one of those redrafts that I drafted also is the best team that I have. It's the 1 seed. So that's a pretty good thing as well. And I'm sitting as the 6th seed as we start in Clown Heads 1's redraft. So I feel pretty good about that I should be able to squeak into the playoffs and at least be playing in week 15 there too. So those are kind of my three Clown Heads scoring that I was able to hopefully get to the playoffs on and do something with. Want to just kind of share my screen another time and look at our where we projected things to be, and just kind of update everybody on our scoring. When we set out at the very beginning of the year, we all picked the top 2 teams in each division each week, and we just kind of put some scoring to that. And that was, we gave 7 points if we got the overall high score in Elite 8 or Clown Heads 1 through 5. We gave 7 points for that. And if we had them in the 1 seed in that particular division, and we gave 5 if we had them in the 2 spot. And then if they just were the weekly winner, we gave 3 points. And if we had them in the 1 seed, and if we had them in the 2 seed, we only awarded 1 point. So what I did here was highlight in green if we were the top of the 3 of us in points for that given week. And, you know, as we come down to the wire, a couple just fun things that have happened. This week, Brad was, from our preseason rankings, he had 9 points and won the week. Justin 6, me 7. You can see at the numbers that we had for the year, 149, 95, 126 are our totals, you know, at that scoring. But I guess one of the fun things is there, next week, if Brad or I have the top score, we'll break our 6-6 tie of being, you know, 6 weeks on top there. And then if we look over to the mid-year scoring, it's, you know, the same kind of thing. We each, before week 8, we all put in there whether we would, I guess after week 7, we kind of updated our first 2 seeds everywhere there. And we can see that that Brad has 64, Justin 53, me 49. So I'm in last place there. So first place to last place. Justin there in second and Brad in first. And Brad has 3 of the top scoring weeks there, and Justin has 2 and I have 1. So if Justin pulls a win in week 14 there, he'll tie with Brad for the overall points totals there and I guess I really can't pick very well mid-season, so I'm not a very good second half adjustment person. So I just kind of throw that there. And before we move too far along here, I just wanted to show the quarterback grid here. And we actually have our first blue on the quarterback grid this week. So that was kind of an interesting item. And you can see the colors. So the colors of red are that this is the 3rd quarterback that we're seeing of a given year, because we had actually Joe Flacco. We probably forget Joe Flacco, you know, back there in the beginning of the year 1, 2, and 3. So that's why we got to red here with Mike White starting. And green just means the starter returned. And so Josh Allen's the only quarterback in the AFC East that has been at it the whole year so far. So, you know, we've really seen a lot of quarterback turnover. And then the AFC North, we had 2 quarterbacks last the entire year, Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson, but now we're going to actually see Jackson go, and we'll talk a little bit about that. You know, so here we're going to only have 1 quarterback in the division, Joe Burrow, that's lasted the whole year. And then if we look at the AFC South, as you see there, we only have Trevor Lawrence that's lasted the whole year. Out in the AFC West, though, a lot of quarterbacks that have lasted, and even Russ only missed 1 game plus the bye. So, you know, that's a division that those quarterbacks have stayed pretty healthy for us. If we look at the NFC East, where, you know, 2 quarterbacks, you know, there have stayed healthy the entire year. It seems like a long time ago when Cooper Rush was winning games, but he played a lot of games this year for the Cowboys. So, you know, the quarterbacks are changing over. I mean, I would think that at some point we won't see Aaron Rodgers again. So, you know, here we do have 3 originals, but, you know, that could quickly change. And we look down here at the NFC South, and we only have Tom Brady and Marcus Mariota, and, you know, there. And then in the NFC West, Geno Smith. And at the beginning of the year, we probably didn't even think Geno Smith would be a starter, but he's the only guy lasting. And as you notice here, we're going to have John Wolford for the Rams, but I'll be anxious to talk with you guys a little bit about Baker Mayfield. And so we have blue for John Wolford because we went from Stafford to Wolford, back to Stafford to Perkins, to back to Wolford, and now we may actually go with a 5th quarterback change. So I'm going to have to get creative on like purple or something for a color. So we're going to really get crazy on the colors here. Maybe pink. Let's go with pink for 5 quarterback changes. And I mean, you know, it's just amazing what happens with quarterbacks in 2 quarterback leagues. I guess I can't emphasize that enough. A lot of people think that, oh, you draft these quarterbacks, but I still go back to 100% of the snaps when the starter goes out, the backup comes in and plays. when a running back goes out, there's some sort of shared, like what we see and I want to ask you guys a little bit about the running back committees, but we saw Brees Hall go out early for the Jets, but then we saw Michael Carter go out for the Jets, and then we see this combination of all these backs come in. And so I'll bring it right up now as we start to talk about the week that was. Who is the running back for the Jets going forward? Is there any that we can feel good about starting? I mean, is it Ty Johnson? Is it Bam Knight, or is it James Robinson? What are you guys thinking, and where do you think the Jets backfield is running back wise?
Well, I'm going to take this one, lead this one off. I think it's Bam Knight. He reminds me of James Robinson's situation where he came in undrafted, signed, and took over the starting role. I personally do not think that James Robinson is going to be on the squad, New York Jets, the Jets squad next year. I think he'll land someone else, but I think it's Knight finishing out the year there.
I mean, do you think Michael Carter comes back? I mean, he's going to come back and reestablish his role here in a couple of weeks, right?
I don't know. Ankles are reoccurring. I think once you start having an ankle issue, it starts to come up, and without Brees Hall there, and they're pretty much out of any kind of playoff situation, I believe, and so why run the risk of injuring worse or continuing injuring his ankle or another injury pop up when you want to start off the role with the Hall and Carter in the leading your backfield? So I think they'll shut Carter down.
So actually, the Jets are sitting in the wild card right now.
Okay, I'm mistaken. Thank you.
So, well, and I mean, they're close. I thought they were close. I just pulled them up, and they're 7-5, so they would be the last wild card spot today if it were. But New England barking at the door, 6-6, and the Chargers 6-6. So I mean, either of those two teams could overtake them, with a bunch to play. So it's not. I'm not saying they are in the playoffs, but I do think that they're gonna. And that's kind of. We were talking right before the show about Brad has Joe Flacco in a quarterback spot, and for this weekend. And at first I'm like, "What are you doing?" And then I got to thinking, well, if Mike White comes out and lays an egg or throws a pick six, I could see them trying to salvage a season with Flacco, just to try to get a win because they're fighting for their like they can't lose games. So, I could see them turning the reins over to a Super Bowl MVP if they needed to, so and then the Rams backfield. What do you guys think of the Rams backfield? What's that look like?
Ooh, I think it's going to be Cam Akers. I think they're going to run the wheels off of him and just continue on with him. Of course, with Kyron Williams spelling him out every now and again, especially on the passing downs.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think it'll be Cam. I think they're going to try to win as many games as they can this season still.
Well, without having the picks, you almost think that they want to win the games because they don't want those picks. They want to kind of show that those picks aren't good. Like, I think, they're going to really be focused on that. Well, so, and then one more running back committee I'd like to just kind of ask you guys about. What do you think about Seattle? I mean, we have the injury to Walker. I saw that Gallman got signed to the practice squad. So I think that the injury must be kind of semi-severe. I don't want to go out and say it's real severe, but it seems like it has some severity to it when you're starting to sign that. Or it could be Travis Homer. I see is still on the injury report. And but it was a fake injury report. It was like if we were going to practice, he would be on the injury report. Was what I saw. So it wasn't really like a mispractice injury report. It just said DNP. If we had practice, we didn't have practice. So,
well, I also read on Travis Homer that he's dealing with a knee sprain.
Okay.
So I don't know how severe, but Lamar Jackson, I'm going to go and bring him up right now. He's looking at 1 to 3 weeks time frame for him to come back.
Yeah, I did hear Dr. Mark Addix broke that injury down, and on Sunday on DirecTV said that he thought he was going to miss one game, but he thought he'd come back, and so then when the news came out that it was a mild sprain, that John Hansen asked Mark Addix about it, said, "Yep, I guess that's what you said. It must be a grade 1." And so they're expecting him to be back week 15. So yeah, but not expecting him to play this week. It sounds like John Harbaugh said it was a long shot. So it sounded like he was telling the truth, that it was a long shot, but it was a shot that wasn't going to happen, kind of thing. So yeah, I think we should gear up for Tyler Huntley. I've heard a lot of places that people are using Tyler Huntley even in one quarterback leagues as their starter, so a top 12 option. So I might differ from you guys. I'm not using guys like that unless I don't have other guys. In other words, if I have Trevor Lawrence, I start Trevor Lawrence. If I have Jared Goff, I start Jared Goff. If I have Geno Smith, I start Geno Smith. If I have Derek Carr, I start Derek Carr. If I have Kyle Allen, I start Tyler Huntley, right? Like, so, I guess it depends. Like, if I have one of those guys, then I'm going to decide of those guys, I'm probably starting Tyler Huntley of all the reserves that I was looking at the highest. But if I have the normal starter guys that have been the starter all year, I at least know what I get with them. And I guess I feel a lot more comfortable rolling out a guy that we've seen a lot of, not a guy that hasn't played since last year and we think is okay. Especially in week 14 when, I can't have him have a 3-pick day. Like, I can't have that in week 14 and lose my way out of the playoffs, based on that. I'd much rather have just consistent performer. I might even rather have, well, we don't have Matt Ryan because he's on bye, but I was going to say I'd almost rather have Matt Ryan, and I have him pretty low on the list. And Andy Dalton's low on the list because he's, on bye as well. So I feel like of the guys this week, I think I would just be trotting out all the returning starters. So Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, or well, not Lamar Jackson, Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, Herbert, Mahomes, Carr, Daniel Jones. I'd start him over those guys. Goff and Cousins, Brady, and Geno Smith. Like, I think I'd start all those guys, and then I think I'd rank of the backup guys. I think I like Huntley better than Mike White or Purdy just based on matchups. And then,
Oh yeah, I absolutely 100% agree with that analogy there, especially with Baltimore not having their top 3 wide receivers. The only receivers left there are that I can name off are tight ends, Andrews and Likely.
yeah.
How many catches are they going to get? Seems like Andrews is slowing down right now. Could he be injured?
I haven't heard that, but it seems like he's having a tough time. Excuse me, my goodness.
Oh, bless you.
Thank you. And so I need that sneeze button. That's what I needed. I didn't have that handy. What about the Ravens running attack? Are we going to see J.K. Dobbins this week? I did see that we expect him, but now with Huntley, I wonder. But maybe that's what it is. J.K. and Gus must come in at you.
Yeah, that's a real possibility. That's I think it's all depending if he is how his knee's feeling. I know last time he tried to come back, he got into the game a little bit and his knee didn't feel right to him, so he was out. Me personally, I had a couple shares of him and I was excited to plug him back in. And next thing I know it, he's being set up for the rest of the game due to knee soreness and knee stiffness. So I think it's Gus Edwards there, and what's the other running back? starts with a P.
Well, I think Justice Hill, Gus Bus, and
Yeah.
J.K. Dobbins, and then we have Kenyon Drake.
Okay. Yeah,
Those four.
I'm forgetting about Drake. My bad. But yeah, I think it's Drake and Hill and Gus.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I think eventually it will be the Dobbins show, but maybe he just doesn't respond. And then I guess before we get to the one topic I definitely want to talk about, do want to ask you, I just kind of heard from a doctor, like I was reading, that the Javante injury is very similar to the J.K. Dobbins injury. And so that has me a little bit paranoid with all my, I think that Javante is Brad's brother, because he's my other son. And yeah, I mean, I think I have him everywhere. Like, so actually, Brad, he'd be your younger brother. Javante would be your younger brother. Just
Man.
you would be older than him. So must have to be Mike's twin. That's kind of funny looking, but that'd be an interesting dynamic there. But yeah, did you guys hear anything about Javante? And I don't even know if Denver has a football team next year. I'm thinking full. So
Well, I sure hope that he has enough time to recover and get back on the field. I definitely personally miss him. I have, I think, only one share of him in a dynasty league, and I sure miss him. So I'm hoping that he gets well and just back on the field soon.
I have 32 shares, Justin. 32.
Oh man.
32. I'm overweight on Javante.
Yeah.
Overweight. All right. The one last topic that I just want to address before we sign off for this week and welcome or ask, encourage people to go win their championships is the quarterback change that just happened. Baker Mayfield got claimed off of waivers by the Rams, and I know if you guys have been listening to us, then we've all been kind of saying, hey, we think that we may have seen the end of Matt Stafford, and we were kind of banging that drum just based on what we see. And so sometimes it's beyond football that you can see what's about to happen. And I think we all saw that as we were just kind of talking on one of these shows before Thanksgiving. We just saw the end in sight for Stafford and said, hey guys, if you're listening, get rid of your shares if you can, because this might be the Titanic ship. Like the Ram ship is going down. And I think this signing to me means that they're going to see what he is, but understand they have no draft picks. So he can probably be gotten for a pretty cheap price, and they can begin to build around him and know that they have a quarterback. And I really think that's what they're thinking. Now, I'm not saying that Baker is the quarterback. I'm more saying that they think he could be the quarterback. And then I throw that question out there to you, and I know that Justin, coming from Oklahoma, will have some thoughts on it for sure. But then Brad just kind of has been pretty good at judging whether quarterbacks are good or not. I'll be anxious to hear from both of you guys. And then in Sean McVay's system, and keep in mind that I personally think that Sean McVay could retire. Now, having said that, depending on how the Cowboys do, I could see a world where a guy named another Sean named Peyton takes the Rams job. So that could also be a dynamic that could change the whole Baker Mayfield situation, because if there's a guy that could work with Baker Mayfield, I think Sean Payton could probably make him good. Like, he's got enough offensive moxie to turn whatever that is out there in LA into something pretty good, just because that's how he rolls. And LA is a good job. Like, LA, being the coach of the LA Rams is a pretty highly sought after job in LA, and a profile coach like Sean Payton would make sense. So anyway, that's me, my take. I'll turn the floor over to you guys, and you tell me about Baker Mayfield and the landing spot. And so,
well, I'll start off with I thought Baker Mayfield was a great quarterback coming out of college. Really helped my Sooners, Oklahoma, OU, yes. My Sooners to win quite a few games. He's always had a very big head, I thought. But when he was with Cleveland there, I noticed that something was missing. Something I don't know if it was his outside influence. I don't know if it was all the commercials that he decided that he needed to be in and do, but he I noticed a strong downtick in his playability, and I think it'll take someone, a good coach. Sean Payton might be the guy there, and if he stays there, and for the Rams and the lady to help turn him around. He he has some potential. I don't know if he'll be the one. So I'm very interested to play the waiting game and see.
What do you think, Brad? What do you think of Baker Mayfield? I forget. I always forget whether you like these guys or don't. So
I gotta say, I have the opposite opinion. I think he's kind of been a nightmare. He's never really been able to support a wide receiver one, never makes him better. OBJ, prime example. DJ Moore in Carolina, great example. And I've been saying this for a couple years now. He's probably the best handoffer in the league. So, I mean, I think it's a good move by the Rams to at least try to salvage what they can since they don't have a first-round pick. But I don't think he's really a starting caliber quarterback.
So you would say, and actually I was surprised to hear Justin say good things about him because I know Justin doesn't really care for the player much, and I was thinking as Justin was talking, like, oh, I think maybe I ought to call Progressive because that would make more sense. But maybe they give me insurance on Baker. So I thought maybe there would be some insurance offered for Baker. But I guess I've kind of bought in. So let me ask you guys this, because we've seen Baker feels to me like, for several reasons, like Jared Goff. Is he Jared Goff? Like, is he better? Let me ask you this. Is he better or worse than Jared Goff?
Worse.
Okay. Brad?
I'd say worse.
I mean, they were both number one picks, right, in the draft, right? And they both, I wouldn't say are scramblers, are playmakers. They're managers if coached. And I'm going to go on record and say I was wrong about Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson. I just had that wrong, right? I thought Russell Wilson was pretty good, and I thought Pete Carroll was not very good. And obviously Pete Carroll's pretty good, and Russell Wilson's not very good, right? So I kind of say that. But I always thought that maybe Fred Kitchens didn't scheme people open in Cleveland very well at all. Like those receivers were awful, and I felt like Sean McVay's opinion of Jared Goff was. Remember, Sean McVay was a good quarterback. Like I always laugh at like who's the best NFL player. Well, who was the best quarterback of the NFL coaches, and probably Peterson's the best, and then Sean McVay was second best, and when my friend Matt Nagy was coaching, I'd say he was third best, right? Like, so these are all three high-level record-holding coaches that were quarterbacks, and so sometimes they didn't do very well at coaching the quarterbacks because they were probably better than the quarterbacks. And Frank Wright, I should have said he was a good quarterback naturally, Super Bowl winner, so as a coach. So I mean, these are guys that were actually pretty good quarterbacks, and then the coordinators Byron Leftwich and those kind of guys that were also good quarterbacks in their own right. But I almost think that maybe they put them on, and so I don't know what that answer is, but it's kind of interesting that both of you think that Jared Goff's better. But I feel like last year, I don't know if we would have said that before we saw him excel in Detroit, right? Like he's doing better in Detroit than we've seen him do for a while, right? Like
I mean, I don't know. I mean, we've seen multiple teams try to put a bunch of talent around Baker, and he just can't get it done wherever.
Well, like you said, he's pretty good at handing the ball off to Chubb or McCaffrey. Like he can do that pretty good.
He didn't do it very well to McCaffrey even when he was playing.
That's true. Well, it was telling that they didn't take the 49ers didn't need him. You know, they said McCaffrey's like, yeah, we'll stay away from that.
Yeah.
I mean, no, being kind of funny because it never got to them, but he was claimed before that. But yeah, that's it'll be interesting to see. I guess I'm thinking, hey, it was a smart move for the Rams. I think I talked to both of you guys yesterday and said that's where I thought he was going to go because I was purely basing that on 1.7 million in dollars for the year, and you know what? No first round pick. They need a quarterback, and they don't have one. So he's probably better than signing McCoy from the Cardinals. Or I mean, like the options are. You know, you can sign Nick Foles to be your starter or Mitch Trubisky, and I'm taking.
You might as well just go with Baker.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, let's just see what Baker is. He's at least that good, right? I think he's at least. Now, I don't know. What about Minshew? I mean, of course, I'm enamored by Minshew, but is Minshew better than Baker?
I'd say so.
Yeah,
I like Minshew.
I would have to say that. Yeah.
What about Mike White?
No.
No. Okay. Yeah, I think Minshew's a quarterback. Like, I think he's just been buried, but I really think that if something were to happen to Hurts, they'd be like, okay, let's go. Let's go,
Yeah,
Minshew. It's the mustache time.
Yeah, they don't worry about losing games with a quarterback change still.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to downplay Hurts. Hurts has been great, great.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I, just to be clear, because I know that's what you guys all say when you hear us talk about that. Oh, Minshew will do the same thing. No, we don't think that. But what we think is that Minshew is he the best backup quarterback out of the 32 teams? He's probably the best, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it's arguable.
We saw Heineke come in, but Heineke isn't. Minshew's better than Heineke, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and Minshew's better than White, and Minshew's better than Andy Dalton.
I mean, maybe Jimmy G.
Okay. Yeah, I'd say Jimmy G was the best. I think that's fair, right? Jimmy G's better than Minshew.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Can you think of anybody that's better than Jimmy G or Minshew? Justin?
I would have to throw it a soft. They're softly out there. What about Cooper Rush?
He was good, but I think Minshew is. I mean, and it's hard to argue with Cooper Rush winning how many games? 4 out of 5, right? He won 4 out of 5.
I mean, I feel like Cooper Rush profiles like a Nick Foles type, that spark plug that can come in and maybe even take your team to a chip one time. But
okay, so I feel like that's what Taylor Heineke is.
Yeah,
a little bit like that. I guess I view Cooper Rush and Taylor Heineke kind of like they're and to a lesser extent Mike White. I mean, he's so far he's come out and throwing the freaking ball around the yard. I mean,
I have another one. Jacoby Brissett.
Oh yeah, he's been serviceable.
And he's a starter. I still think though we haven't seen Minshew for so long that I guess I think he was good when he was with Jacksonville, man. That guy was like throwing the ball down the Chark, and when they came in with somebody new, like they weren't near as good. Like it was such a drop off when he went out with an injury. It was unbelievable. Yeah, I realized, oh my God, that guy was pretty good because Jacksonville went from reasonable to awful, like with the quarterback, like reasonable to awful. It was so bad.
And
the Bears went from Fields down to their backup Simeon. Like it was bad when the second they lost Minshew. Like it was ugly. Like I was like, oh my God, this is bad. And so anyway, I digress. But as we finish up, want to wish everybody good luck in their championship runs. I know we're all, shooting for ships. I counted. I think I have 6 teams that have clinched their punched the ticket to the playoffs. So that's exciting. I lost on Tony Pollard in my fishbowl team. That second touchdown, I lost by 2 points. So that touchdown put it away for me. If they don't score that garbage touchdown late, then I'm victorious this year. So this was identical to last year, 11-11 record. Win the first round of the first game of the 2-week playoffs. I was up by 20, and then lose in week 2 by more than 20 to just be done. And so that team is now done for another year, and it's another year older. And it was before my obsession with youth. So Dalvin Cook and Jamal Williams are one, and Cordell Patterson are my 3 running backs for 2 spots. So they're all 1 year older. So that is kind of scary what's about to happen with if I win. Now I got to win. So now I got to win these next 2 weeks to get the number 7 pick instead of the number 8 pick in the draft. Now I'm even just trying to win for a 1 spot in a draft pick to try to get to bring something out of nothing. So, yeah, it seems like I grind on the losses more than I relish the wins, but excited for the wins, but you can see that the loss grinds me that I lost that out already. So, good luck for you guys. Enjoy the weekend. And Brad, am I gonna come live with you in person next week? Is that the plan? All right. So yeah, you'll be on the screen. Brad and I will be together, and he's gonna double check my work, and so we'll be coming with a 3-person 2-spot booth next week. So 2 pictures. So
sounds good.
So it'll be nice. So until next time, we're the Fantasy Football Clown Show. I'm Ed. He's Brad. He's Justin. Thanks for joining us.